Let me ask you a question. Like, okay, so what you think about the Jews getting reparations? The Holocaust didn't happen in America, but we paid them reparations.
And it was
Yeah, I think that we did that to Indian people too. I think that we're more civilized these days. We should really try to come up with a good strategic way to help, especially urban communities, and help these areas and help these people because this country was a racist country, most definitely. Systemic racism definitely exists.
he said was.
So let me ask you a question. So if okay,
Well, there's racist people, but I think the system itself has got systemic racism in it. But I don't think we have this wholehearted racism. We paint this picture too much, man. We need to strategically fix the communities. That's all.
so let me ask you a question. Then, real talk. Let's go, Joe. All right. So
Yeah.
after slavery, right? Black people. You know, I know especially a lot of Republicans. They like we need to pull ourselves by our bootstrap. We did that. You know, after the Reconstruction, after the slavery, we did Reconstruction.
Yeah.
We went out, built our own towns, hundreds of towns in America by ourselves. They
Yeah,
get
but
no help.
systemic racism held you
But
back.
yes, but no, they destroyed a lot of the town. They flooded a lot of town.
I
They
know.
blew. So should we get reparations for that for the town they destroyed when we had they destroyed our
That's
economy?
why I'm saying is I think the better tool and a better way to do this is to strategically go into these towns and incentivize people of the community to become business owners and rebuild with tools in hand. You know, you teach a man to fish, he's going to get a fish for life, right? And you can do this in many different ways. Schools, businesses, home loans, you can do all kinds of things to uplift the community. And I'm saying it's better than just handing out cash. You know what I'm saying? That's all I'm saying.
So what about okay, say black people, that's my ones who qualify for reparation don't have to pay taxes for 100 years. Would you go with that?
Sure.
Hmm.
Something like that.
What about
Yeah,
land?
it's
What about land?
generational. It's generational. It's systemic. It is definitely systemic. Do we need to put some qualifications in there as far as like make? There's got to be some context to it to make it like a plan. You know what I mean? Instead of just there's got to be a plan to it. Like let's just say in the community you live in, you know, you want to be a big part of rebuilding. You know, you want to. There was an old business that used to be a Target, let's say, and it's shut, or Kmart, and it's shut down, and they come. You have a business plan. You have somebody strategic that comes in and helps with the business plan. It's going to pay X amount of workers, and it's going to be a co-op. It's going to be a co-op for that town. Okay, so it's going to be employee owned, and there's just so many different ways strategically we can do this that would help uplift the whole entire community and change the dynamics of things. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah. What okay.
I would agree
Yeah.
with you to a certain extent because I don't have an issue with training. I don't have an issue with specific programs, but not programs that is acceptable by the white supremacists. Like, hey, well, we're not gonna give you first class. We're gonna give you this,
Yeah.
hey, some mediocre stuff that'll get you by. You know, when you know
Yeah.
good and well, Chase, Wells Fargo, Bank of America, all of them make their millions, their riches off of.
That's why I said 0% interest. That's why I said if you get that 0% interest, buddy.
Grants. I am talking about training. Like you said, there was federal funding. They didn't pay them back. Now there were some that, like you said, were low interest loans and this, that, and other. But the core of it, you go into these rural areas in the North Dakotas and the Montanas and the Nebraskas, they were just given everything. They weren't required to lift up by their bootstraps. They were coddled.
I know, but we live in a money world, man. That's the true truth of it. You have to make it make sense business-wise, too. Like, you cannot, like, it has to be sustainable. Because if it's not sustainable, you're really hurting the community. You know that, right?
But it's not going to be because again, like I said, even the money thing, which I am not 100% on just, and I don't want to act like I'm agreeing with you on the just giving the flat out money, because the money will go right back to you, and I'm not for that. I know
Exactly. You want to uplift your community. You do not want to set it back in time.
But there's so many that will just You know, we got the Mayweathers and we got the people that just, worship the Europeans and will just throw their money away. But I am for the 40 acres and a mule with a program, with a structure and a system that is not bottled by the white supremacists and say, hey, you're okay. We'll allow Herschel Walker to get the money. We'll allow the Tim Scotts to get the money. But hey, you can't be too black and get this money. Or you can't be too this.
It sucks to hear you say white supremacist, but I understand what you're saying.
I mean,
I understand what you're saying.
But what I'm saying
some of the families are racist.
About years ago stuff. When I
know what you mean, man. It's the systemic part of our system. I get it, dude.
It's still present. It's not past.
I know. I know.
Today.
People don't realize it.
You know what I'm saying? In my neighborhood, we have people putting stupid crap in their yard to terrorize neighbors. We're not talking about...
The only problem I see, man...
We're talking about 2020.
The only problem I see is you're always going to have somebody hollering about those people. It's always going to cause the conflict, man. Like I understand what you're saying, man. I'm saying the programs need to be there to uplift the community. Let's say people get, especially there's a lot of people that don't have cars, licenses, all kinds of problems like that.
Mm-hmm.
I think we need to do what we need to do to change the communities, these gang life environments that actually the government did. The government did it with subsidized housing and separating the families. And that's what they did, and that's the systemic part. We have to change that. Our police department, instead of defunding them, we need to retrain them. We need to take people from within the community and make them our peace officers and retrain and do things like that. That's supposed to help uplift the community. They used to get out and play basketball with everybody and be a part of the community. They don't do that these days, and there's such animosity. And there's problems that the government has created, in my opinion, on purpose.
Right, but they can't create it without people supporting that. So when people always say, it's the government that makes me hate. No, the government wasn't the one that called police to my house because they
it's generational.
They want to check to see if I own my own house. That wasn't the government. That was the neighbors, So they love to go and deflect and say the government is making us be enemies. No, it's you. It's you.
It's the corrupt government, man. It's the corrupt government. The mayors that hire. I know, but it goes from the mayors, from the city council, all these people that have generational people in the police department. And back in the day, their granddad was racist as fuck, and they have these systems in place, which is systemic within our government. That is the problem, and we need to take and rebuild the communities from within. That's why I'm saying I don't have a problem with reparation in the right context.
Gotcha.